Barry's music. This is a prayer that we get to hear. And so just allow yourself to fully go in now. Think of it like we are going into the river. And so we are just waiting. Ooh, and my dog just jumped up on my lap. Okay, honey, you can stay. Okay, and let us breathe. Remember to breathe. And I would like us all to remember to feel, to be grounded at this time. So feel those feet. Feel your feet on the ground. If you have shoes on, that's okay. Just imagine that the soles of your feet are impressing upon the ground. Because as we ascend, as we are making this ascension back to love in this hope cycle, it is imperative to be grounded. You see, we are opening up different centers, if you will. We are coming into different awareness and higher levels of consciousness. And so it is irresponsible, as I have said to you before, it would be irresponsible if we did not ground before. Yes. When we are talking about visionary work, about changing the world, about seeing in new paradigms, shifting the paradigms and seeing in new ways through the eyes of God, through the lenses of love. Yes, when we are talking about that, when we are actually doing that, we ground. There is a fear that is often associated with change. Now, some of you here, be it on the Facebook, and we send you blessings again, our Facebook family, or some of you on this Zoom. Maybe you're not afraid of change. Maybe you long for change. Maybe you can't wait for your own life to change. Maybe you are a change agent and a change maker in this world. And so you see exactly where we need to go as a country or as a people. And it doesn't scare you, no, it excites you. It ignites you. You take that invitation. Yes, you do. And you run with it. Now, some of you, I know you are that. You have that within you, in the very soul, the very fiber of your being. And then I, because we are so complex as people, and thank God for it. Thank God we are as spiritual beings. We also recognize that there are parts of ourselves that stay in the old ways. And so when we are faced with change, when we are called to change, there is fear that comes up. It's the unknown. We think, how can a world exist? As I said last time to you, how can a world exist beyond the military, without militarism, without policing, without prisons, without drones? You're going to be hearing about drones next week from John Amidon and Sherry Bauer. They're going to be sharing a drone, an anti-drone action. And so when these invitations of a new way of living that is not the removal of violence alone, but in fact the being rooted and in its place, a thriving, a safety for all communities. That can be very scary. And hence why we spend a lot of time here grounding. We spend a lot of time offering spiritual tools, basics to build your spiritual container, to create a solidification, if you will, within yourself. So that way, when you are agitated, when you are maybe agitated here by things that maybe I say about no police, no prisons, communities can be safe without these things, that instead of shutting it down, you think, okay, let's fly with this. Let's do this. Let's create this. And furthermore, you believe this. Furthermore, you believe that you know that this is in fact where we need to go. Stage 6 of this hope cycle is called believe. Now, I want to clarify something, because in the third stage of wonder, you might recall that the statement was, I believe. You may not. If you were, some of you take notes, and I know who you are. And good, that's great. But in the stage of wonder, I asked you, it was the Rocky sermon, and I said, what are you committed to? And I said, be honest, get real. Are you committed to a life of degradation? Are you committed to violent systems and structures? Be honest. Be honest. It's might as well be honest and get clear. And then we went a step further. And by the end of that stage of wonder, it was making this emphatic statement of, I believe. So what's the difference between these stages? The difference is, that stage 6, the statement is not, I believe. It is, I know. It is, I know. It is the place of gnosis, knowledge. And last time we went over this and I said, let us come back to our inner knowing, a place that nothing and no one can harm or hurt or endanger at the end of the day. That there is a place that no matter how much it has been rebuked within you, no matter how many people have tried to deny it, it is still there. It still burns bright. It still sings true. Yeah, sings true. And it is this place of knowing that when nurtured and when cultivated and when in fact amplified within ourselves and with the people that we meet, like at Roll, that we believe. And believing is not a utopian, idealistic thing, my friends. No, it's not even about the results. It's not even about saying this is going to happen in the world or this is going to happen in my personal life. It is actually an unwavering commitment to change. That's what we mean by believe in this stage 6. It is I'm going to say it again. It is an unwavering, resolute commitment to change. It's not even about the results. It's not even saying, well, when is this going to happen? When are we going to have peace? When are we not going to have a world riddled by war or riddled by the murder of Black and brown folks? Or it's about being absolutely resolute and unwavering in the commitment to change. That if someone were before you saying none of this exists, and just those kind of crazy making almost the voice of the devil, if you will, that you could just sit there and go, I believe. I am unwavering in my commitment to change. See, this is what we need more of, my friends. This is what we need more of. We have to be absolutely in high heart love and in high knowledge in our inner knowing and completely resolved. This is why this is an initiation at this stage. And I would like to say that I don't think a lot of us get past this stage. I think that in the earlier stages of the hope cycle, do people come out of the dark night of the soul, that first stage where they see the candle of hope? Yeah, some don't, but some do. They see that candle, they're reminded, oh, I'm alive. I will keep going. And do some in that second stage, that is curiosity, do they begin to question and say, well, wow, what if my life could change? What if this world could change? Yeah, they do. And in the third stage of wonder, do they begin to believe, not in the way of high resolve, but begin to have those inklings and those feelings in their soul? And then moving into the jungle, doing a lot of the work, the inner work of looking within ourselves at what needs to be excised, or maybe what needs to be integrated. And as Manny has put up of the definition of violence, almost every single sermon I've given on this, the definition of violence, and looking at the parts of ourselves in that jungle, in this fourth stage of exploration, seeing, oh, wow, this is where I commit violence. Thank you, Manny, for putting that up there. Or this is where I have ignored violence that has been perpetrated on me, and I continue to be degraded and victimized. And even the stage of the cave, the fifth stage, the churn and burn stage, which was a bit of a harder ask, really. And even Dr. Robert Gross, when he was asking me about these stages as he was composing this incredible music, which you will hear at some point, talked about the concern around the cave, the very, right, Rob? The very feeling of almost an ominous feeling around the cave. And so my point is that each stage, while there might have been some grit, it wasn't like stage 6. It wasn't this. As I was preparing, I felt pushed in and out for this talk tonight. And what I realized is that I really believe that the place of knowing, another way I could say this would be your intuition, has been so denied, and not the opposite of exalted, that we have an incredible wound we must heal. An incredible wound around what we know. And so it feels very important for me to ask you in this moment, what do you know? What do you know? Go back to your knowing. Go back to your intuition. What do you know? I almost want to say, who cares what I know? As I was being, like I said, turned inside out, like slaying the dragon, bringing this thing down to the ground, feeling it in my body temple, going, whoo, this stage is something else. I recognized the wound that so many of us have had around what we know. And this is not to say that we know everything. I am not here to foster narcissism and inflate people. That is not what we're talking about. This is saying that inside each and every one of us, there is a place that knows things. You know what's up. You know what is just. You know what is true. You know where we need to go. You know where your life needs to go. That's what this is saying. With the addendum, if you will, that there are certainly things that we don't know. But from this place of, in Jewish mysticism, the place of da'at, this third eye point, this place of intuition, this must be exalted. And to be absolutely crystal clear with you, the reason why is because when we foster and nurture and cultivate, I should not do this, but go like this, this place within us, and there is a connection here, my friends. When we nurture it, a funny thing happens, and we begin to believe. We begin to believe in the ineffable. We begin to believe in the change, in creating change. I want to go back to that young Muslim girl that I told you about last week, the 11-year-old at the Islamic Society of the West Valley that sat there at this event and raised her hand and said, "Is racism illegal?" I mean, is racism illegal? See, that is her knowing, that is her believing, that has been unencumbered. It has not been spoiled. It has not been told, that can't happen, that's not true. It is still shining bright. It is still overflowing. And so let's talk about for a moment the ways that this intuition of ours, of yours, ends up getting squashed or blotted, or sorry, my dog is literally right over there. Sorry. The ways that this knowing and this intuition can get blotted or denied. And so there is certainly the ways that we are indoctrinated. We are indoctrinated by education, by toxic education. And so often you hear that our minds have been colonized. So there is that indoctrination. There is also socialization. There is the ways that we have been socialized by violence. Remember, I have said Violence 101, the class that we have all been in. And so with that, that also shuts down the intuition. Call it the third eye if you want, if you're comfortable with that, your knowing. The indoctrination, the socialization, and let us not forget, my friends, the pain that we go through as we get older. The life lessons that hurt us. And so the way back home, the way to our inner knowing is bringing awareness like we are tonight. Is by being here with each other on this Facebook, on this Zoom, and coming back to it. I asked you last time, I said, ignite tonight into your inner knowing. And tonight I want to ask for your commitment. I want to ask for your crystal clear commitment to your knowing, that you may truly believe. Because we can't go any further, my friends. We can't go any further in this ascension back to love without this commitment. Yeah. I don't want to say too much more than that. I think I would like us to sit for just another moment and actually take a breath in And ignore my dog that is pawing at the door. And we will just breathe in and out. And ask yourself that when you think of a world without war, without the police, without the military, without all of just any kind of policy, where violence exists, where a degradation exists, where diminishment exists, where disempowerment exists, what is it that catches you where you don't believe? Is it fear? And if it's fear, bring love to it. And if it's ways that you've been socialized, because, well, this is the way it's always been, then bring some love to that too. Because it's high time, my friends, that we see with a new vision, imagining a higher vision, as owls perch in the tree and see everything from a higher ground. This, my friends, this is why we spend so much time talking about the God goggles or the love lenses, the eyes of God. Everything is ignited from any good thing, yes, is ignited from this place where someone first said, I believe. Where someone first said, it can happen. It will happen. When I was in Israel, Palestine, many years ago, we were all so forlorn. We were in East Jerusalem and we were talking to a man named Jeff Halper. And I tell this story a lot, and it's because it's important. And we asked Jeff Halper, we said, or someone said, nothing can ever change here. Israel, Palestine, it's always been like this protracted conflict. It's always been the violence and the killing and the hatred amongst these two people, these two nations. And so what did Jeff Halper say? Some of you might recall when I have told this story. Jeff Halper, the director of ICAD, Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions, he said very poignantly and very simply, we have to first believe it can change. It's a tall order. It's a tall order. I'm thinking right now, and we are going to close, but think about the fact that in 1951, just about an hour from here, they started testing at the Nevada test site. And that is something I always knew. You know, I was born in 74, so I didn't even have the drills in school by the desks, like if there was a nuclear blast. Like I didn't even know that, because nuclear weapons were just so much the fabric embedded in our culture, our society, in our world. And what do we know now? That they're illegal as of this ban that just came into being, what, on January 21st? See, every good thing has to come from that spark of believing. And when our inner knowing is ignited, when our inner knowing is amplified, and when we continue to listen to it, as well as listen and respect other people's knowing, anything can happen, and we are unstoppable. Forgive me, my dog really threw me, and this has never happened at a service. He was just, it was very challenging. I want to hold this space, and I want us all to do something this week. Please, let's make this commitment that throughout your week, please practice tuning in, listening to your intuition, as it certainly will imbue your ability to believe in the change that is going to come and the change that we need to continue to work for. Bless you, my friends. This is the revolution of love, and we are living in such a time as this. Amen.